So what happens if you and your boyfriend are both saving sex for marriage and then you find out that your boyfriend has a sexual past? What do you do with that? This is a question I've been getting a lot lately from you girls. One of you wrote in, could you make a video about when it comes to dating or marrying someone who has had sex and wants to wait again if you have been saving sex for marriage yourself? So let's talk about this. If you're in that situation, here are 4 tips for you. Hey friends, Tiffany Dawn here, and if you're new to this channel, we talk about real life questions that Christian girls are asking. So you can hit that subscribe button to come join us every Tuesday for more girl talk. So some girls who have saved sex for marriage have always imagined that their future husband would have saved sex for marriage as well. And maybe you found yourself just with the unspoken expectation that you would also marry a virgin. But that's all kind of theoretical. Once you fall in love with a person, you're not thinking like, are they a virgin or not? You're just falling in love with them. And so what if you meet this awesome guy, loves Jesus, he is committed to saving sex for marriage, but in the past, he has had sex in other relationships. That could be really disappointing. And that's what I've been hearing from a lot of you. So what do you do? I have 4 tips for you. Number 1, look at what God has done in his life. We all have a story and we all have a past. And for some of us, that's a sexual past. For some of us, it's something else. But we all have things that we've walked through. And what I've found is that when we give that story and that past to God, he takes it and he turns it into something beautiful. Part of my story is having struggled with an eating disorder. And so when I came into the relationship with James, I shared with him my struggles with disordered eating in the past and how much that had affected my life. I was also able to tell him all that God had done in my life because of that. And that's what you want to look for. Do you see God at work in your boyfriend's life? Do you see a change in your boyfriend? And that's the important part. We all have a past, but what matters is what God has done. Tip number 2 is allow yourself to grieve. In every relationship, there will be unmet expectations. There will be things that you just always thought would be a certain way and then they're not. And you have to consider, is this an expectation that I can live with it being unmet? And some people will say yes and some people will say no. But I think you're gonna have to let yourself grieve the loss of that expectation and just realize things are different than I thought they would be. I'm going to recognize that that's hard. I'm going to allow myself to go through that grieving process and to heal from that. Tip number 3 is talk about it, only as much as it's helpful to both of you to heal. If you have concerns about how this could affect your future, talk about that. And you don't have to ask for every detail of his past. Just talk about it as much as it's helpful for both of you, as much as both of you are comfortable with it. And that can help you figure out, is this a good relationship for you? And use it as a way to heal and to talk through the questions or concerns that you have. And tip number 4 is remember how much you've been forgiven. In the church, we really put sex on this pedestal. If you have premarital sex, like, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing you could do. That's kind of the perspective we have in a lot of Christian circles, but that's not true. We all have a past. We all have things we've had to be forgiven of. And so just remember how much God has forgiven you as you're working through the process of forgiving your boyfriend. And if this is something that's really hard for you to let go of and forgive, maybe this just isn't a good relationship for you. Maybe it's not a good fit. Because you can't go into marriage holding something like this over the other person's head. That's just not healthy. You have to be truly forgiven and let it go. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you forget what happened or you act like it's not a big deal. Forgiveness means that you are saying, I acknowledge what's happened. I'm even grieving how this affects me, but I'm also choosing to surrender it to God. And so if you want to learn more about how to forgive someone who's hurt you, because that's hard to do, check out this video linked right up here. I love you girls and you brave gentlemen who are watching with us too. Bye.